All right, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Um, this is the review video for last week, starting on the 9th of November and ending on the 14th. Sorry, it's a bit late. Those of you who actually were following my commentary during the week would realize that I did mention to you guys that I will be traveling this weekend, so it would be a little bit late in coming. So apologize for the lateness. But let's begin. God, we just thank you again for your blessings and for your goodness and for this opportunity to trade. Thank you again for a successful trading week. We ask that you will just continue to be with us as we go through these concepts, be it anyone watching this video. May they may it serve as a source of inspiration and may it also help them to improve on their strategy. We thank you and we love you. Amen. All right, guys. Again, as you know, 100% bullish. Okay. Market makes higher lows to higher highs. That's what it does every single week. Um, that's what it continues to do every single time without fail. Okay. Now, here is what we can see for last week. Notice this was the buy that started on Friday. Okay. After it started on Friday, it went up, created a number of opportunities from these higher lows for you to actually go up. And finally, going up to Wednesday, it created that all-time high that we're all searching for before actually making this huge drop to come back to retest the start of the trading week. Okay. All right. Let's put that in perspective. I'm trying to make this video very short and precise. Remember, I mentioned to you from the previous weeks, even in periods of consolidation, you continue to buy your higher lows and you exit on your lower highs in the event that the market still consolidates, and you keep buying your higher lows until it breaks. Okay, so let me demonstrate that to you the previous week before last week, 2 weeks ago. Here we go. First higher low of the week. Okay, again, I'll mark this, although it says new low. If you go to your larger time frames, let's say maybe the 4 hour and up, you will see, there we go, you have a higher low right here. Okay, so when you look at your 1 hour, okay, this is your higher low. You took it, came to a lower high, you take your profits here. You wait again, market comes here, you buy from here, makes another lower high. Notice it's lower than all of these previous highs. You take your profits, you wait, you do the same thing. You keep buying your higher lows. Every time the market makes a lower high, take your profit and you get out. Market comes down here, it makes a higher low. Now it's a lower low in relation to this low, but you're on the 1 hour. And remember that you have larger time frames that you also need to account for. So let's move this marker and let's now put it here. Okay. This higher low that was created was a higher low that translated all the way up the time frames and went to the daily. So if we look at your daily time frame, there we go. This is the higher low that was created. Okay. And remember, I mentioned to you in last week's video, last time the market made a higher low, it went straight up and it made a higher high. Right? Did mention that too. Last time the market made a higher low, it went straight up and it made a higher low. So this is exactly what we saw happening right here. This higher low, it bought straight up until Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, right about Wednesday, before it actually dropped again. And the reason why it dropped is, remember, the trend is higher lows to higher highs. Take your profits, and then you wait for your next higher low. That's it. That's all the market did last week. So you go down to your 1 hour time frame and you see that playing out. Okay. Now, as soon as you came here, so remember, you keep taking your higher lows. So this was your higher low. Okay. You came, you got a lower high here. Remember, this is on your 1 hour time frame. So you still see the consolidation levels being played out. Okay. So you take your lower high, then the market comes back. It makes another higher low. Okay. This time you go to this high. It's still lower than all of these previous lows. You take your profits and you wait. Market comes back down. It makes a higher low right here. Okay. You go in. Here it is. It broke for the trend again. Okay. But this high right here, and I'm going to mark it, this high right here will translate to a lower high on your larger time frame. Okay. So you see the consolidation still playing on. Now it's expanding to a larger time frame. So the concept remains the same. You take your higher lows. Whenever you get lower highs, you take your profits. Okay. And then you wait for the next higher low. So let's look at a larger time frame. Let's look at the 2 hour, for example. The 2 hour is in fact at a lower high right here. Okay, it expanded all the way up to here. You would get this lower high. But if you notice on your 1 hour time frame, okay, let's get this out here. On this 1 hour time frame, okay, it played out with a high on the 1 hour time frame, okay, and the lower high that was created on the 2 hour just expanded until just after market open. Sorry, market open on Tuesday. Okay, so you wait, you get another higher low right here. Now, from this higher low right here, you already know that your daily time frame, which is here, was already coming from a higher low that was created on Friday. So you know it's going all the way up to that all-time high again. So when you see this move here on the 1 hour, you already know that once it breaks this high level right here, it's straight shot. It's a straight shot right to the all-time high. Because again, the trend is higher lows to higher highs. Your largest higher low was your daily, so which means the move is going to terminate when the market makes another higher high, which is an all-time high. All right. So when you take your profits here, here's your opportunity right here, your higher low, for you to catch the remaining portion of this move. And so said, so done, all the way up until Wednesday. Actually exited here, which I had posted. I actually came out on the lower high when the daily actually made the lower high, because I'm like, okay, fine. There's a possibility that it would drop from here. Okay. But nonetheless, it went up, completed the move at a higher high. And that's fine because you take your profits. Now you're basically waiting for another higher low. Now, I have said in the past, a bullish market doesn't mean that sells do not exist. What it actually means is you have to be able to wait on your largest higher low in order to buy. And I always encourage you, stay away from the sells if you do not have a full understanding of what the market does. Now, by saying all of this, a lot of people still think they have it figured out. So what happens is as soon as this market made a higher high, right, people are starting to take higher lows on smaller time frames. So for example, some people took higher lows on 1 hour time frame, on 2 hour time frame. Okay. Some people still took those higher lows. Now, here's the important thing. The first higher low that the 1 hour created after this drop, I believe came in Thursday's session. Let's do this. I believe it came somewhere in Thursday's session. Yeah. So if you go here, okay, here's the higher low. Now, remember, I always say take your largest higher low. Now, if the 1 hour, and I even went as far as to say last week, be patient when you're waiting on your higher lows. All higher lows are not created equal. So the 1 hour started this higher low. Now let's look at the 2 hour. So if you look at your 2 hour time frame, the 2 hour time frame actually created a higher low on Thursday within the London session. That's where it started. Okay. Let's look at your 3 hour. 3 hour created nothing. So your 3 hours is still at a high point. And remember, I've always said to you, if you're going to take a trade, if you're going to take a sell, and the time frame is still at a high point, that's not the time for you to be getting into a sell. The market needs to retrace. Okay. So look at what the market did for the rest of the week. It sold very hard until we got to Friday. Okay. And on Friday, it came down, and this is where it ended on Friday. All the way up the chain, the 4 hour, if you have the entry level subscription, it will show you a higher low on the 4 hour. But you have the premium subscription, you can go all the way up to the 23 hour, and you realize that it actually made a higher low on the 23 hour time frame. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing about this, and that's one of the reasons why I like to analyze all my time frames. The 23 hour put on a higher low right here, so which means the trend is supposed to be higher lows to higher highs, right? Now, a couple of things that I noticed on Friday with this higher low on the 23 hour, and there are a number of times that this will happen throughout the trading cycle, where you see this and you have to be extremely cautious of what you're doing. So you notice this candle right here. This is the 4:30 candle on the 23 hour. Sorry, the 4 hour candle on the 23 hour time frame. Notice what it did. All right. Came, all right. It formed this little inverted, or whatever it is that you guys call it. Okay. Form this bullish pennant or whatever. Okay. Don't chastise me for not knowing what that is. I just know that this doesn't mean anything for me. Notice market opened at 5 o'clock. Notice it came down, came right back down, and cleared below that to create this higher low on Friday. Okay. Same thing happened at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Candles look a little bit different, but they serve the same purpose. All right. So again, this was the higher low on the 23 hour. The important thing is, if you look at the daily, you'll notice that the daily has these two nice bearish candles, which suggests to you that the market is in retracement. Now, you can look at it from a number of different ways. Well, there's exhaustion. So if I take this off, there's exhaustion right here on the daily. Okay. Is there going to be a rejection from here to shoot right back up? Okay, that's possible. That's a plausible idea, going from higher lows to higher highs. And you have the expiration on Friday, which takes into account the weekly time frame, which was expired at 5 p.m., the daily time frame, which was expired at 5 p.m., and everything else below expired at 5 p.m. on Friday. Okay, but here's the interesting thing that I want to show you. So that's your daily time frame. This is your 23-hour time frame. This is where we're at. Okay, now let's look at your 22-hour time frame. You're at a higher low. Let's look at your 21-hour time frame. Notice you're at nothing. So the smaller time frames still did not register. So what happened was the market went into shock. There's a lot, anytime you see this happening where the time frames are missing elements of completing their structure move, that tells you that there's high volatility within the market. Okay. So the 21 hour did not complete. Okay. So, which means the higher low has to carry through. All the time frames have to correspond at some point in time. Okay. Whether it goes up, displays volatility, and comes back down, guess what? This is going to need to create that higher low that you're looking for before you actually see that buying again, especially because the larger time frame already gave you that signal that the higher low is actually in the cards. So that's your 21 hour. Let's look at your 20 hour. Same thing. Let's look at your 19 hour, your 18 hour, your 17 hour. Okay. Now the 17 hour, notice what it did. It came, it created a higher low right here on Friday. So between the 17 and the 21 hour, so there are 1, 2, 4 time frames here that still have not completed their higher lows. All right. Now, the other thing to pay attention to is that the fact that the 23 hour is actually at a higher low The possibility, and if you understand candlestick patterns and everything, the possibility does exist for this to actually come and break this higher low right here. Okay, because what this means, and let me put my lines back on so you can see it. We'll draw a rough line right here. Let's see. Okay, well, I don't even need that line because this is actually on my 1 hour support line right here. Okay, this is on my 1 hour support line. So the possibility does exist for it to come and break this 1 hour support line from Friday. Okay, and if it breaks this, then that means it's going to put on a new low, which is actually a structure break, a temporary structure break. However, that new low should be also a new low on your daily. Okay, what that means is that your weekly is now in the hunt for its higher low. Okay, so if you take off your your analysis cap for a minute, right, and you look at this, let's look at the weekly time frame. Okay, remember the trend is higher lows to higher highs, higher lows to higher highs. So in order for a higher low to be created, there has to be some amount of sell. Now, when the market sells, for me, that's the time to wait. Because remember, I'm trading for my highs. I'm not trading for my lows. Okay? So I'm trading for my highs. And the tricky thing about sells is that they will come down like this, they'll wick out, and then they'll turn and they'll go all the way back to the top. Or they could actually come down and they could actually break previous levels. But in any event, if you're a true trend trader and you're actually taking your largest higher lows, moves like this don't worry you. Because guess what? Your entry on the weekly would have been all the way down here. So even with everything that has happened for the entire year, everything that has happened for the entire year, okay, does not affect you because any one of these cells, it's not coming back all the way down here. It's only going to make the next higher low in order to complete that trend. All right. So I hope that that clears up a little bit of what was happening last week. So again, this right here, I am not convinced that the buy is 100% complete. I'm not 100% complete. It came up, it broke back into the structure to create the higher high, completed the move, the trend move from the higher low to the higher high, which was last week, Friday, completed that move within a week, came right back down, created a higher low on the 23-hour, but at the same time, it left the door open for this this daily time frame to either make another higher low or to break this previous higher low to complete a new low, which would translate to a higher low on your weekly time frame. And once you get a higher low on your weekly time frame, that's actually a very strong indicator that you are actually going to be going up to create your next higher high, next all-time high. All right. So that was basically the analysis for the week based on, sorry, the review on the week based on the analysis. Like I mentioned to you, your largest higher lows, keep taking your largest higher lows, going all the way until the market breaks. We got that all-time high. This is where you take your profits. So I'm not sure why you would be holding your buys from here, okay, with all of this retracement, okay? So you'd have lost everything that you made this week, but you'd still be in profit if you came in here on Friday. So you still, there's still hope for you, all right? Now, like I mentioned to you, it's possible that the market will come back down and retest this level before going back up, okay? And it's also possible that we'll continue to shoot, all right? So in order to find out what's going to happen for next week, my next video is going to be the analysis for the upcoming week, where I'll go into what I'm expecting to see the market do, how I'll be trading for next week. But this was the review to show you how I actually achieved all those moves from this week using the AuberStrategy, taking the higher lows and trading towards my higher highs. Keep doing that in the consolidation until your resistance breaks, which is where it broke right here. You had that new higher high, all-time high, before actually retracing again. All right. So take care, guys. I'll see you next time. God, thank you again for your blessing and for your goodness. Pray that you'll beat anyone watching this video. May it be instrumental in helping them to improve their process. We thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.